Hi, welcome back to the Jack and Glenn channel. I'm Jackie.
I'm my husband, Glenn.
Yep.
Hey, before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of our reviews. Tonight, we're talking about Married at First Sight, season 16, episode 13. I'm not acting crazy with you tonight. Man, where we get started, this episode here of Married at First Sight was a little bit crazy. A lot of things to talk about here on this episode of Married at First Sight. Where do you want to get started? All right, let's get started with let's talk a little bit about Chris and Nicole. The whole point of this episode of Married at First Sight was for the couples to be very vulnerable. It was for the couples to open up and to share about each other. And we find that Chris and Nicole, Chris found out some things out about Nicole that he didn't like, right? Nicole ended up taking Chris to a restaurant, an Italian restaurant where she loved Italian, where she loved Italian food. She talks a lot about her past. And we learned a little bit about her past when her dad came on the last episode when they were doing the goat yoga. We learned that Nicole had a troubled past when after her parents got divorced, that Nicole started doing things that wasn't pleasing to her parents, start lying, start cheating, and doing different things like that. And we're going to find out in this episode that Nicole is she made a lot of bad choices and she's a liar. And Chris wasn't happy about that. Mm-hmm. Chris wasn't happy about the fact that Nicole was admitted that she was a liar. And that's one of the things that, Chris was like, hold on. Like, if I would have known this person before Married at First Sight, if I had an opportunity to date this person, wouldn't be somebody that I want to be with. Chris has some high moral values, and he doesn't want to be with somebody who is a liar.
Not just before Married at First Sight, Nicole, but because she's not been that way for some time. But his thing was past Nicole, old Nicole, like she says she's new Nicole. Yeah, he was like, I couldn't have dealt with her.
Yeah, he said he couldn't deal with her in the past. But again, she fully explained what was going on with her. She had you can expect somebody who has whose parents were divorced, or somebody who has when you're a young child and have those type of issues, you expect somebody to lie to get attention. She is totally different. I think she's different now. She's more bubbly, she's more confident in herself, has more and she really appreciates and cares about Chris. And then we find out here in this episode, she really cares about Chris, and she wants Chris to continue to do, be in a good relationship with her and be with her. One thing we learned about Chris is not necessarily a pushover per se, but Chris is one of the guys that he talks about when they meet up. Chris talks about his relationship with his dad. Mm-hmm. He talks about how him and his dad didn't have a good relationship, how him and his father, basically when he was young, they had much of a beef. They beefed a lot. They had just a terrible relationship, basically.
Yeah, he said he used to work for his father because he used to paint. So he took her to a painting shop. Yeah. I guess that's when a paint store, paint store. And because he talked about how him and his brothers, worked for his dad, and like he didn't really care for it too much. He didn't care for working for his dad.
It's a different relationship, man. Dad had a high standard. What he said his dad had a perfectionist standard, that everything that they did had to be within perfection, had to be done 100% correctly and 100% right. And Chris said he couldn't take it. He couldn't really deal with that. I can understand. I mean, in the job of profession of being a painter, I mean, I guess you would have to be perfectionist, right? Everything would have to be in a top state. You don't want to mess somebody's house up. You don't want to mess things up with color and paint. But they had a good little time at the paint shop. When we talk about painting, it also took them home. They ended up painting a picture together. They took a Saturday night where they just sat there and started painting pictures. And we find out that
it was one big canvas that they were painting on, but it was like different stuff. Like she had this sun in the corner, and she had a little stick-on mustache that she put on. And apparently they do accents. They do talk to each other and play accents quite a bit. And so she went from French to Italian with her mustache on, and then Chris was talking to her and like an old man, kind of like the man from Up, sounded like him. And she was like, I mean, the joy on her face, she was turning red. She still had the mustache on, but she was like, I like it when he talks in that voice. And she likes the fact, she said this once before, that she can be authentically herself, like she can be herself, and he doesn't make her feel bad about it. So in that space with them painting, and playing, doing the fake accents. She was like, I could be myself, and he lets me be myself, and I appreciate that.
Well, we all know that she likes to do puppets anyway, or make voices, because she does it with her dogs. So she did puppets with her dog. Dog. Chris has the dogs, but with her dog. So she liked it. I mean, I thought it was fun. We know they got married on 7/25 because she kept talking about 7/25, 7/25.
Oh yeah, that was the paint that she found too. She found the paint that was number 7/25, and she was like, "Oh, it's our wedding, it's our anniversary paint." And yeah, they had 7/25 on the painting that they made. But I want to go back real quick. Speaking of painting, though, Chris said he did say he had a bad relationship with his father, but he said it was when he got older that he realized that him and his dad's relationship got better, because I think he said he went out of town. He needed somebody to watch Coda, and so his dad automatically volunteered to watch Coda. Like, he didn't have to ask him. He was like, "Sure, I'll do it for you." And that's when he realized, like, my dad is there for me. And he might have been hard to work for. He might have been kind of hard to deal with growing up, but he's got my back.
Yeah, I mean, it just took just a little bit of time to let him know that dad does. Most parents are there. I mean, we all had those teenage years where you and your parents may not have got along, but as you got older, it got better. It got better, so you started working things out. So I know in my relationship, me and my father got much better since we got older, and just because of his job and what he was doing. But couples also wrote letters to themselves. Chris was able to write a letter. Chris and Nicole both wrote letters to their younger selves. And Chris had to express in his younger letter that he wouldn't let people walk all over him. That he has allowed people to walk all over him in his life. We find that all his friends have told him that anyway. That Chris has got him a pushover. That people walk all over him, and so he gave his advice to himself: don't let people walk over you, and allow yourself to be a little bit much stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked about one of his mom's abusive relationship as an example. So those type of things, which I thought was Chris. I thought Chris's letter was very, very good. I thought he did a good job in sharing and opening up. I don't think Chris ever has a problem being vulnerable anyway. I mean, it's the same guy who cried over his two dogs. I think Chris was willing to open up to Nicole, and I think Nicole doesn't have a problem opening up to Chris because Nicole's been vulnerable throughout the whole season, right? She's been vulnerable throughout the whole season, talking about how her past relationships, talking about being burnt with cigarettes, talking about all that. So Nicole doesn't have a problem with being vulnerable, and I think she wants to have more confidence in relationships.
And the one thing that she remarked is when Chris was talking about his mom, she said she could really relate to his mom because they've been through kind of the same type of things. And she's encouraged at the place where Chris's mom is now.
Yeah, and she also mentioned that if her and Chris ever broke up, she would be heartbroken. Doesn't matter when they broke up, whether it was at the end of this process, whether it be 15 years from now, 30 years from now, whatever the case may be, that if something happened to them, she would be definitely broke up.
Even if it was amicable, she said.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't like a bad breakup, because I think anybody would be hurt, whether you break up the bad way or if you just break up because you've been with somebody for such a long time or whatever length of time, I should say.
Yeah. So we want to go to next. Let's talk about a little bit about Arris and Jasmine. Jasmine meets up with one of her friends, and basically she tells one of her friends, and look, Arris got to do a lot of changing. In order for our relationship to get better, there has to be some big change in the midst of our relationship. Arris is going to have to open up. He has to be more vulnerable because basically she's not happy. She's not happy in the relationship, and that Arris needs to do more things to kind of bring her in and to show her that he does care. Arris brings Jasmine to a car shop and tells her about to how important the car shop was to him as a child. It was a place to help him meet with friends. He's honest when he says certain situations would sometimes force him to walk away without a second thought. And that will give her she started feeling like, okay, if this is an uncomfortable situation now, is this an uncomfortable situation that I'm going through? Is he just going to walk up and leave? Is he ready to bail on me? Is he really ready to check out? And that's one of her fears and concerns, that Arris won't see things through.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get to find out a little bit later why is that, because Arris was in his childhood, he was always moving. He's talked about being a Newport News, and he talked about being down.
And there's only one Newport News.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think I realized that he lived in Virginia. The big VA.
But as I started to look at that and I started to think about it, I said, okay, it was Arris moving because they just had to move, or was Arris moving because his dad was in the military? When I started to think about, he said we stayed places for short periods of time. We stayed places, we left here, we didn't stay here. I'm thinking, okay, explains why Arris moved around a lot. Maybe it's because of the military background. That it was, we never talked. He never talked that his dad was in the military, anything. But I'm just using my,
I'm thinking probably not. I mean, not saying because you're in the military you can't be into whatever kind of other stuff that Arris's dad was in that caused him to lose his life, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying. I'm just maybe just something they never really explained. Even when Keisha asked him on after party about moving around, they never really got into the part why they moved around so much, and so it's never explained what made them move around. So I thought about that with Arris and Jasmine moving around. Excuse me, with Arris and Jasmine moving around. But again,
no, not Jasmine moving around.
Arris moving around. Arris is, I think Jasmine, she's done. I mean, you could tell that she was kind of real wary, she's real nervous about Arris and her checking out. But one thing that Arris and I guess we're gonna jump to this. One thing that Arris and Nicole did that was pretty good. I'm not Nicole. Jasmine did. Sorry. One thing that Arris and Jasmine did that was good. They did it with Kirsten and Shaquille, and that's when they went to go Nerf ball shooting. And I wanted to jump there because I thought that was something that they needed to do to break down some of the walls in their relationships. And you saw Jasmine having a great time. You saw Arris having a great time. You saw both of them kind of letting their hair down. It was something that was needed. Mm-hmm. Which in their and I could jump there because in their relationship, when they went to the rage room, they had fun. They had a good time. They interacted very well. I think this is just a couple that they need to continue to go out and do different things with other couples and with people, just not sit at home all the time. Mm-hmm. And we already know that with their schedules are kind of off anyway because of the way that Arris works and the way that she works. This couple just doesn't have time to have fun with each other. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that's in their relationship so far.
Yeah, they did have a good time. And they did have an opportunity, each one of them, to talk to the other spouse. So Jasmine had a conversation with Shaquille, and Arris had a conversation with Kirsten. With Kirsten. So,
yeah,
I don't know if you want to talk about that now or you want to wait till we talk about Shaquille and Kirsten.
We talking about that now.
But they really just caught each other up on where they are as far as their relationships. And once again, like I said, you gotta love production because when they did the preview with what Shaquille said to Jasmine, it made it sound like he was flirting with her, but he absolutely said beforehand, he's like, I'm not coming on to you because I have my own wife. And he was like, and then also he said, you're beautiful inside and out. Because in the preview, it just said you're a beautiful woman. But he told her that she's beautiful inside and out because she shared, basically like I had built up a confidence about myself and my husband not being on the same page with me and not being attracted, it's giving me pause. And so Shaquille was just encouraging her, no, you're beautiful inside and out. Don't let that deter you. Keep being you. Keep doing you.
I think which gave her a lot of confidence, though. I think that helped her out a little bit, too. But she helped Shaq out more than anything else with their conversation. I think she helped him out, especially with him being the frustration that he has with Kirsten about not being able to see her family or be around any of her family, why she doesn't bring them around. He mentioned the house situation, which we'll get into a little bit later. So I think there's a lot of people online and even on after party, they asked, like, did you have a problem with them flirting with each other? I don't think they was flirting. They were just friendly.
That's why I said the preview would make you think that, but he obviously was not flirting. He prefaced it. He even prefaced it that I'm just I'm sharing. I'm not coming on to you. I have a wife.
Right. He has a wife. So it's and then so you guys do it on the internet. Talk about how Arris paid more attention to Kirsten than he does Jasmine, right? How Arris was looking at the Kirsten's eyes and always paid more attention to him. And when he talks to Jasmine, he never looks her in the eye. You guys pick up a lot of things on it. I don't think they should swap. I don't think that works out. I mean, I think Kirsten is Arris's body type. And I think Jasmine would do well with somebody like Shaquille, who is nice pace and slow, but that's just my opinion. I don't think the swapping should take place. But I think Arris was willing to open to Kirsten when they had their conversation as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're being honest with where they're at. He said they're not where they should be. They're working on it and working on things to get better and trying to get better. And then again, it's like a roller coaster. Have some good days, have some bad days, and that they're working on it. So it's nothing really big there. Go ahead.
Working on their vulnerability is the other thing I was going to say with Arris and Jasmine. When they wrote their letters to their younger selves, Arris talked about, again, how much he moved around and having to get to know people and, losing people and everything like that. And not getting discouraged with the moving. You're not that same kid. I think he talked to his 12-year-old self. You're not that same 12-year-old that lived in Newport News. Don't, that kind of thing. And Jasmine talked to herself as the 9-year-old, where she said that's when things kind of started changing with her when she was 9. So
she moved from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, down to Memphis, Tennessee, where she said kids started being bullied
because she was too proper.
Yeah, that's crazy. Kids still do that. That's weird because what is technically proper, right? Because she spoke good English, because she read, she didn't dress like everybody else, and yet she was bullied, and that's what she talked about, just being bullied at a younger age. She kept it a little bit light. She really didn't go in deep, but I like Arris's letter. I like the fact that he was really trying to dig in to himself and try to really tell himself it's gonna be okay. Little black boy who went through this issue, a little black boy who went through these situations, a little black boy who gone through all that. You're gonna be okay. I need you to be all right. I need you to get yourself together and understand that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to show emotion. It's okay to show feeling. And I think that was one of the key things that I liked about Arris's letter, that he was able to express some of those feelings in his letter. And then we get to hear Arris has another letter that his dad wrote his mom. I guess while they were split up or while there was a relationship, and he said he reads that letter sometimes when he's down. He has it on his phone. He has it on. He keeps the letter with him, but he reads his letter from his dad, in which I like that he read it to Jasmine, that she was kind of interested in, and she was interested in the letter, and that he was willing to share what his dad said, and it's good. I mean, I thought it was good for him.
Yeah, his thing was he keeps the letter and he reads it because it helps him to realize that his dad did want to be in his life, that he was trying, that and in the letter, his dad actually said, I want to see my son and his lovely mother again soon. So yeah, Arris said he reads the letter when he's down, or when he just thinks about his father. Maybe if he sees a father and son out somewhere, it makes him think about his dad, and he'll go back and read the letter. It's just encouraging to him to know that his dad did care about him, and so he keeps that with him. And like you said, he says he even has a picture of it on his phone, so if he doesn't have the letter itself, wherever he's at, if the mood hits him, that he can read it. And the thing about Arris is, what he shared on the after party, he said, I'm learning to be even more vulnerable. Like I'm vulnerable, but some things I'm sharing with Jasmine that I've never shared with anybody. I've never read that. He said he's never read that letter to anybody, and he feels comfortable enough with her to be that vulnerable, to let somebody in that space. And he doesn't have a problem with it. I think both of them feel like this might bring them closer. Jasmine is still more like unsure about it, but these are the steps that they need to take to get closer and to grow their marriage.
Yeah, and I think Arris is actually trying. I mean, I think he's actually trying. Some say he may say it's for TV. Some say he's just doing it, but I think he's actually trying to get connected with her in some type of way. I think he really has some deep issues that he has to come over, or that he has to overcome, and he's working on those issues. So That's one of the things. That's Arris and Jasmine. I think they're moving in the right direction this week. Cause they're that couple that, hey, one episode they do okay, the next episode they don't do all right, but this week they're doing okay, and they're moving in the right direction. Next is up is Gina and Clint. Clint takes Gina to a soccer field, and he explains that, hey, although he wasn't the best, but he wasn't the best player or had the most confident, wasn't the best or the most confident player. It ultimately ignited the competitive nature in him, the nature that he has now, the feel in him for everything that he does, that he is very competitive. He hates to lose. He wants to be successful at everything he does, and he enjoys just being very competitive. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that one thing I like about Clint, that Clint has always been vulnerable. Clint has always been open with Gina. Clint has always been sharing how he feels and sharing what he's been through. And I think Gina was reciprocal in this, and started enjoying Clint even more.
Mm-hmm. And what Gina did was she had some of the ladies from her salon come over to the house and have a conversation with Clint. And Clint got to ask them questions of how do you like Gina as a boss? Like what do y'all do fun at the salon? Y'all have a good time. They talked about how Gina says she's disorganized, but she's actually organized, and how she can go from one thing to another. She does good multitasking. And so it just gave Clint a good idea of who Gina is. And of course, he knows she's a boss lady and about her business, but it let her know that she, which she noticed when he went to the salon before, that she's personable, and that she is an astute and keen businesswoman.
Yeah, and then she
and a good example and teacher for the people in the salon.
Yeah, they say they always, as she said, the girl is drama and sometimes chaos, but they always get the work done. They do things they need to do. There's always sometimes drama that's there. But Gina also brings Clint to her former school. She revealed that she had a degree in what was mass communication or work. She worked in broadcasting and something of that nature. And then she had to make a pivot or make a twist or make a turn to cosmetology, which she's being successful in now. She needs some more patience. That's one of the things that she talked about. She talked about how, making that pivot to cosmetology was a big move for her, make a big step, but she was willing to venture out and make that move. And we can see that it has worked out for her. She is successful, and it's given her some confidence and ability to do some things that she wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, I like Gina and Clint right now. I like the place where they're at. I think both of them are being real vulnerable to one another. And I just wish that it was not the friend zone that is in, that was much more of a romantic relationship. And right now they're in more of a friend zone than anything else.
Mm-hmm. The only other thing I want to say with Gina and Clint, when the stylist came to their apartment, Gina fixed lasagna, and she used pre-shredded cheese, and Clint was like, "Oh, you use pre-shredded cheese?" And he says, "Our marriage is hinging on how this lasagna tastes." and he ate it, and they were like waiting, like, "So what do you think?" He was like, "I think we good. We'll stay together. The lasagna is pretty good. Just hitting a little bit." Yeah,
I mean, y'all know that Clint was the guy who likes to cook. Clint is I'm not saying he's a bona fide chef, but he likes to cook. And when she talks about cakes, he's talking about truffles. I mean, it is
making soufflés,
and stuff. So it's a whole different level. So Clint and Gina's not much with them with this episode. It really wasn't much there. It was just basically read the letters, show people where you're at. And I don't know, this was different to me. It didn't have the same feel of like the other people you can tell that some of these people are not from Tennessee, from Nashville, right? They didn't really have a home to go back to or a place to go to. You had a couple people that was there that everybody else didn't really have there. This is where we grew up at. This is, in past episodes, you saw people was able to take you back to their house. Even Matt made up a house in North Carolina, people believe, on the Charlotte episode. But again, it was able to go back to the house. They were from that area, and you didn't see that much in this episode. I would love to see, we did see Kirsten's house, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but Shaq is not from there, and you didn't get to see, like I said, Gina from being there, or Nicole from being there. Things like that. You would love to see them back to the element. Just my thing goes back to, I think, what we said on the panel because a lot of these people are not from Nashville, it's not as authentic as it could be. You know, so that's just one of the thoughts there. But let's get to the coup de grace, the main event of the evening, the story that everybody's talking about. We have Kirsten and Shaq, which this is a discussion that keep going will go on and on for a while. Kirsten is giving Shaq a tour of a house. She's working, she's doing her real estate thing and giving Shaq a tour of this nice, beautiful house. We come to find out the house is worth $2.9 million in this house. And then they talk about how their kids will grow up in the house, talking about how
he said, I can hear what you think about this house. She was like, I think it's a nice house. I can hear the kids running through the house, coming down the steps and everything. Which leads to her talking about the house. And, if we stay together, you got to buy me a house like this. And he was like, why do I have to buy you a house? And she was like, I mean, my name can go on a deed, but yeah, you need to buy the house. He was like, what?
Yeah, most husbands buy their wives' houses. Most of my friends' husband bought them a house.
A lot of people I know
bought them. I'm saying, like, have y'all even had this discussion? Like, where?
I don't know nobody. I would like to know who she knows. I don't know anybody whose husband bought them a house. Everybody I know got a house together as a married couple. I don't know nobody.
Yeah, I'm not there.
And you call it what you want. Maybe I just don't operate in them circles, but I think even in them circles, a lot of people, they get the house together.
Well,
they don't buy their spouse the house.
It's just the older crowd. I do know one person. My grandfather did it. My grandfather brought my grandmother a house. My grandfather bought the land. Now, this is back in 1960, in the 60s. The grandfather brought the land, built the house on top of the land, owned the land.
But he bought it for both of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's
for them. What is it? 7 or 9?
9.
9 kids. I'm like, who am I missing? 9 kids to live in.
Yeah. So he bought the land.
If that's the case, my granddaddy bought my grandma a house too. Not really. He bought the land, but he didn't buy it for her.
Right.
He bought it, period. And they both lived in it.
They both lived in it, but she wanted him to buy her a house. My thing was with this situation with her is like, you work too, right? Like, are y'all gonna come into this? Now she says it later on, but that's after she's confronted by Shaq. It's not like it was something that she had thought about, because I know she said she was joking, but based off the facial expressions and the things that she did, she wasn't joking. She was 100% serious. Like, we stay together, we continue this relationship, you're gonna buy me a house. It was no joking in the midst of this. There was no joking. And Shaq sitting there like, oh, I am? And I think I said in the video that I did, like, you can't just tell a guy that you're going to buy me a house. We're not even out of this process yet. We're still working on getting together. We're still working and try to build this relationship. We just got real close last week, technically, as we was painting each other. So you're going to just come out now, and because you think it's all cool, that you're going to buy me a house? Nah. How about can we get a house together? In fact, let's sit down and figure our budget out. What's our range of buying a house? How much debt do you have? Because those are the type of questions that you come into before you even say, hey, we're gonna buy a house.
Because Shaquille's thing is he has student loans. He's not in a place where he could buy a house for her. And the other thing is the root of it, Kirsten, I'm gonna keep doing this. I just corrected you earlier. Now I'm doing it. Kirsten takes Shaquille to the house where she grew up in, and she explains too that basically her father was a breadwinner. So he did this for my mom. He bought this for my mom. Blah blah. And so what she's expecting is she's expecting him to do the same thing for her. And so that's why she tries to come later and try to clean it up. I didn't say that. I was just joking. Oh, we're not going to start. Listen to you talking crazy. We're not gonna do that. And he was like, but I need you to explain this to me.
Yeah. Explain, first of all, before you go to that, he's like, oh, you chewing too loud. We're not gonna do that. You chewing with your mouth open. He was petty, he was rude. He was like, no, you chewing with your mouth open. Here, this is what I need you to do. Here, here's a napkin. Because we're not.
She was like, I got my mouth covered while I'm talking. He was like, but still.
I don't like the way he came up. He came off rude and rough. He came off like, hey, by the way, you're chewing with your mouth open.
Oh, well, I'm gonna say this too though. Even though she said her dad was like the breadwinner type of thing, let's keep in mind also that her parents are divorced. Yeah. So she did talk about that, you know, that at one time they had a nice, happy little family, but then her dad got, you know, that her parents got divorced. And so there was definitely hard times then, and it was a struggle. But she still was like, my dad was a particular kind of way.
I wonder if when dad divorced mom, did dad kick her out? Who stayed in the house? Because again, if you got a person who buys a house and he just puts his name on the house and he just put everything in his name, and when they decide to kick you out the house, and I don't know what, based off the state, you may not have any legal right to be in that house. So it's weird when just one person has done the whole thing, right? Mm-hmm. But again, two are better than one. Come together, bring your money, he bring his money. The other thing I thought about was after this was, who said Shaq wants to stay in Tennessee?
Well, that was her thing too. You know, if we stay together, and if you know, her question was, can you see yourself staying here, like, and buying a house? So that all kind of rolled together, and he was like, yeah, I can see myself doing that. And I think he knows that's the thing with her. I'm not going nowhere. You got to stay here in Nashville. But I wanted to say this. The other thing is, of course, when Kirsten took Shaquille to the house and she talked about her father, he was like, oh yeah, when am I going to get to meet him? And she was, I'm working on that.
There's some discrepancies in this story, because she talks about on After Party that she tried multiple times to get Shaq to meet her dad. And it just didn't work out because of her dad's work schedule, because of Shaq's schedule. But Shaq did talk to her dad on the phone, and they had a phone conversation, but they never got a chance to meet each other up to this point. But she said she tried.
And that was the one thing that when Shaquille was talking to Jasmine, he was like, you know, she hasn't yet to introduce me. Oh, when he was sharing with Jasmine, she says, well, have you met her? Have you talked to her father about this? And he was like, I ain't never met him. Yeah. I did nothing. And she was like, how do you feel about that? He was like, I mean, it's whatever. And he goes on talking, and she says, but it don't bother you? And he was like, well, yeah, I guess it does. It does bother me. And like, you need to introduce this man to your family, because in turn, we see Shaquille introduce Kirsten to his godmother and his god sister, and they emphasize or reiterate the fact that Shaquille is a family person, and how he's always there for family. He's the one that when the grandparents passed away, it was like, we haven't gotten together. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to get together. And he decided, Thanksgiving, we're going to get together. Let's pick a color. Who's going to fix what? So he's really a family person. And they said that his god sister was like, you know, ever since I was a baby, Shaquille's always been there for me.
Yeah.
And so the other part that goes with that is because they had such a bad car accident. They talk about how one person was displaced, they got thrown out of the car. And when they made it out of that, how it just made them closer and value and appreciate each other. And so it just drilled home the fact that, again, Shaquille wants to meet your dad, you know, make that happen, because he's all about family. And if you're not introducing him to your family, especially your dad, how am I feeling a part of your family?
And not only that, because remember, if you go back to the wedding episode, her dad didn't believe in the process. Her dad didn't want to come to the process. Matter of fact, her dad was stubborn enough that he didn't want to take the COVID test. That was why, people were like, why her dad didn't come to the wedding? Because he was the one that didn't want to take the COVID test. He didn't want to take the COVID test to come to her wedding, and to be at the wedding. So it's like one of those type things where you can see that her dad is kind of, I don't know him. If you watch the video, I'm sorry, he's pig-headed. He's pig-headed, and when he has a one-track mind on something, it's going to be that. And that's what it is. So again, Shaq had that opportunity to meet him because that's why he didn't come to the wedding, because he didn't want to take a COVID test. So now I would have made it my business if I was her to introduce this guy to my father. If he couldn't come to the wedding, hey, when we come back from the honeymoon, Dad, Shaquille, Dad, y'all go have a sit down, have a conversation, go eat. Let's have dinner together after church on Sunday. Whatever case may be, it shouldn't be 5 weeks into this program, 5 weeks into this marriage, and he hasn't met your father yet. Oh, matter of fact, he hasn't met anybody from your family, hasn't met any of your friends. I'm sitting here wondering, but you want me to buy you a house, but I can't meet your peoples? Like, then who's coming over to this house? Hey, can I interact with some of these families? We don't even need, how do we know we need this big of a house? Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, just in general, what do we need? Where we want to live at? What city? What town? Well, all those type of questions, but you want me to buy a house? Nah, but I don't know your family. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't no type of, and I don't care what she said. She's not joking. She was 100% serious because she's always been spoiled. As Shaq said, you've always been spoiled. You've always gotten everything that you wanted. Everybody's always giving you everything that you needed. And so that's what's that. I agree. It's too early in this marriage to figure that out or to talk about this. You need to make sure he's straight. I mean, to me, does it seem like she was just getting her real estate career off the ground with the logo and all this other stuff? Let's get established, boo. Or was she trying to sell a house to her husband? So she can make that commission. So she can make that commission. Like, what are you trying to do? Last episode we talking about a logo and you getting business cards. Like, did you just start in real estate? That's what it seemed like to me, So I'm just just some questions that I had in my mind when this whole process was going down. Like, nah, boo, this is not it right now. Y'all are just now getting. I still don't think they consummated. That's just me. I don't think after the paint they did. You're just now getting in the line of getting better, and
I think they did.
You're just getting ready to ask my man, hey, buy me a house.
I think after the paint, the body paint, he GTD.
He might have, but I don't know. I think she might have just shut him down. They might have just cuddled, Mm-mm. But it's too much. And you could tell she was spoiled. Then she's like, oh, you're not getting crazy. Not tonight, you're not getting crazy. Oh, now you're getting crazy talking tonight. I don't think it was crazy talk. Now, he did get a little rude at that one part, but he was like, in his body posture, sitting there with his arms folded, meant like, I need business. No, we're going to talk about this tonight. And she didn't want to talk about it. And I think she didn't want to talk about it because the fact that it was on camera.
Maybe.
I think he
was adamant that he was going to talk about it. Because she said one thing on after party that he said too, but maybe not so much about the house thing, but each one of them are saying stuff to other people or on camera that they are saying differently off the camera or away from people. Mm-hmm. Because she was upset because he told Jasmine that he was upset and bothered that she wouldn't introduce her father to him. But she was like, he didn't say that to me. And so it's stuff that you be saying to other people that you don't say to me. And so I think it's the same thing because we know Shaquille said earlier when she made the comment about the kissing and stuff like that. I think it's funny that you would say that on camera, but off camera, it'd be like, no.
Right.
So they're both been guilty of saying stuff to other people and on camera, off camera that they're not saying to each other.
Yeah, what that made me think about too when he talked about the joking situation. He was like, well, you told me not to joke in certain situations.
Yeah,
not to laugh.
Because she said she was joking. I was just joking about you buying me a house. I just said it. And he was like, but you're the same one that when we was on a honeymoon, you said I play too much. It's time and a place for everything. What happened to that?
Oh. She felt it was her time to play and that's her way of playing. It wasn't playing, she was serious, but she felt like I can do what you can. Mm-hmm. That I can do what you can't do it. So that's what she was thinking about. And I like Kirsten. Don't get me wrong. I think she's a good person. I just don't like the fact that in this episode she was really, really thinking this guy was going to drop everything and buy her house. and they want to buy a house. Can we wait till the decision day's over? Can we see how much debt you got, right? Can we get into the apartment first? Can we really enjoy each other's company before I drop X amount of dollars on the house? And then after you confront her, she does change the term. Oh, I mean, we can get one together and we can see what we can qualify for. But that's what you should have said when you was at the $2.9 million house.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, I'd love to be in a family with you. I'd love to have kids running around the house and animals and all this. But, let's see what we can qualify for. And maybe we can, after decision day, we can talk about getting a house.
Mm-hmm.
That's how that conversation should have went. Not that, oh, you're going to buy me a house. And then she got onto the point, to when they was at dinner again. And, I'm going to upgrade my Mercedes. I'm going to get a Lamborghini. Like, what?
Yeah,
You're going to buy me a car.
He was like, I don't know. I could upgrade you to a Honda or a Toyota.
You can see where her financial paralysis at, her properties, her priorities. Maybe it's up here. He's seem like he's more frugal with his money, more money conscious stuff about where he wants to go with his finances. She seemed like she's just about the status. About, I got a big house, I got me a nice Mercedes, I got this. But you got a Mercedes, but you ain't got no pictures in your apartment. You got a Mercedes, but you ain't got a nightstand. You got a Mercedes, but you ain't got a couch in your house. To me, it seems like her priorities are totally wrong. But again, it's about status.
But it sucks because I really want them to work out.
Oh.
I think they're cute together. I really want them to work out. So I still hope they can get it together.
I don't think so. I think truth be told, I think Shaq is checked out. I think Shaq is done. I think with the...
Till he GTD.
Well, I think, yeah. Well, even after GTD, I think he's done. If he GTD after they painted each other, I think each time... You get the draws, for those who don't know. After he got the draws. Even after... Every time she says something about stuff like this, I think Shaq shuts down. Because she's just too focused. I mean, on her, what she wants, and not willing to compromise any type of way. Because what has she really done for him to compromise for him that we've seen? So, not much. You guys let us know what you think, man. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for rocking with us. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that bell notification. Should a man buy the house? Should a woman buy the house? I did a poll earlier, and I believe, last time I checked, 88% of you people, 88% believe that both couples, that the man and woman should buy the house together. 11% believe that the man should buy the house. And believe it or not, 0%, I believe it, 0% said the woman should buy the house. That is either we do it together or the man's supposed to do it. It's never the woman supposed to do it. So those who haven't joined, those who haven't got on the poll, Shaq wants Jasmine out. Hey, Graham, look, I'm not mad. I mean, the way he was looking at her, I know he says that, look, we're just, I'm not flirting with you or nothing like that. She looked like his type. I wouldn't mind. They might switch because the way that Arris was looking at Kirsten, the experts might have got it wrong. They might have switched.
Just based on looks, but I still think the personalities. I think Shaquille's personality probably would vibe with Jasmine, but I don't think that Arris's personality would go with Kirsten.
Yeah. Maybe we'll see. We'll see. Let us know what you think. Again, go over to our community tab. Hit the community tab on the page. Go ahead and be interactive with the poll. Who should buy a home? Should a man buy a house for his wife when they married, or should they buy it together? So let us know. Hit the subscribe button, bell notification, so you don't miss any of our reviews. Appreciate you for joining us. Hope you guys have a great night. Make sure you catch out the panel on Sunday afternoon with us, with August Love Story and Talisa Ray. Once again, appreciate you guys. Thank y'all. Have a great night.